All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Chalenza. Thanks for checking out the Rich Chalenza Show. So, what I'm going to talk about today is school and what did it program us to be? Now, I'm not going to get into grade school or middle school. I'm going to just jump into high school because it would just be too long winded. And the reason I bring this up is because I don't think a lot of people realize that maybe the school they went throughout high school, uh, the way it programmed you may have not been the right fit for you. And the reason I bring this up is because I fell right into that category. Schooling in general just didn't fit into my lifestyle. I've talked about it before. I didn't fear school. I didn't fear grades. I didn't respect teachers. I'd hate to say that. I do respect teachers now. Back then, most of them looked like a bunch of, in my opinion, washed up people that couldn't succeed in what they were teaching. Most of them had shitty cars. Their clothes didn't look that stylized to me. A lot of them weren't that attractive looking. In my opinion, they weren't that interesting either. It seemed like it was like a robotic type career, I guess. That was how I looked at it. They'd open a book, teach you about a certain chapter, you take a test at the end of the week, and you move on to the next chapter. It's almost like a bunch of bad performers. That's how I looked at it then. I'm not saying that's how I look at it now. But when I was going to high school, one of the things I loved was sports. If I didn't have sports, I think I would have dropped out in 8th grade. I'm not kidding, because it just bored me to death. And I think when I went officially to a Catholic high school, which it's a great school. I went to a very good high school. And very loving, very nice people. I can't say it was a bad school. The problem that I had with it is it didn't conform into what I was interested in, and I think a lot of others as well. So back then I kind of wanted to make movies, let's say, or kind of be involved with something like that, fashion, because my family came from the garment industry, and my dad actually owned a bar and nightclub, but I liked movies. I was obsessed with it. I loved actors, directors, and all that. But my school, for the most part, was strictly a college prep school, like a lot of schools, I think, especially private schools. It was either kind of, at least in Chicago, and I can't say this like 100%, but I think a lot of schools want you to go to college and be white collar, especially private schools again. It's kind of split. I think, and I've realized this with my friends even, I have a lot of friends, but I never fit in either one of the molds, kind of, because a lot of them were, say, white collar. So a lot of my friends say they went on to be lawyers. Some went on to be accountants, right? That white collar thing. Some doctors, right? Judges, things in that white collar realm. And then in Chicago, a lot of the blue collar would be like, okay, now we're a cop, a fireman, or we join a union job. I didn't fit in either one. I also am not going to say I was like Mr. Artsy Fartsy, where all of a sudden I'm going to be downtown doing theater. But my school really didn't even give me many options. It didn't have any theater. It didn't have any art classes. It had a film and television, I think, class you can take, but it was like when you're a senior and it's the history of film. Like it had nothing else to do with like making a film or anything in that nature. And it also didn't have, and this wasn't for me, but it never had anything regarding, say you want to be a chef, say you want to fix cars, say you wanted to do like anything in that nature. It didn't offer that as well. Now, a lot of, I think, us through high school, like we're supposed to be going to college to figure out what we're going to do in college, but in high school, we're not actually, for starters, even doing what we're interested in to begin with. And then we think a lot of times too, hey, I'm going to do this in college because that's where I'm going to be interested in it. You go to college and spend a lot of money and time to find out, hey, I'm not interested in this. And I think that's one of the things a lot of people go through. And if you look at a lot of people, I think, that really are, I guess you could say, super entrepreneurial or whatever. It could be Gates or Zuckerberg or whatever, Steve Jobs maybe or whatever. They may have been great students. I'm not saying they're not great students, but I think what a lot of people have to understand is, don't let something program you to be something you're not. You almost, if you look at Gates and Zuckerberg or whatever, they quit Harvard, let's just say, and a lot of people quit Ivy League schools and stuff to go on to just kind of go do what they want to do. I wish schools would kind of teach us a lot more regarding what's going on after school, like teaching you about maybe real estate, maybe teaching you about financing, not just how to be an accountant, but maybe how to invest. And I've discussed this before on my podcast. If you how to start your own business, right? Because I just heard a story about somebody who, he wanted to be, not only did he didn't want to go to cooking school. He wanted to open a restaurant at a young age. And I know actually a couple of these guys in Orlando, Florida too. One actually even did it for a college project, but they wanted to be an entrepreneur. And they didn't even have classes on truly how to do that. But he wanted to open a restaurant, but not be a chef. Like a lot of times you're like, oh, if you want to be a cook or a chef, go to school, right? Go to Le Cordon Bleu or go wherever the hell you got to go. And then after that, you got to go work for another company for X amount of years. Go in the kitchen, slave for them. It could be a chain restaurant or somebody else independent, but do that for someone else. He wanted to take the approach is, hey, I want to open my own restaurant. I don't want to cook in it. I just want to run my own restaurant. He went on and did it and then opened a bunch of chain restaurants and proceeded that way. And what's interesting is he talked about everything he did, nothing he learned in school taught him to what he ended up doing. He just had to learn that independently. And he's thinking, a lot of people out there, and I believe this as well, they could be taught these things. But if you're not being taught these things, say in high school, or whatever schooling, learn to kind of break out and learn to basically educate yourself. And I don't think a lot of parents my parents, I will wrap it up with this officially. I think what happened, my father's a diehard entrepreneur. Diehard, basically can't listen to anybody but himself. And he became very successful. He's had his ups and downs, and he was always kind of programming me to not take shit from anybody, to kind of go do whatever I want to do. Which there's some strengths and weaknesses to that. I'm just going to tell you right now. It was like, you're not going to join the military, right? You're going to either take over my business, or if not, you try to become a professional athlete if that's what you want to do. If not that, go do whatever the hell you got to do and make it work and think positive and just kick it in the ass. And my mom also built a lot of confidence in me as well, saying I can do whatever I want to do. I had two parents that were just like really... my mom wanted me to be educated, but I think she also understood that I was different, and she wanted me to go after my dreams. It could be making films, it could be whatever. And I think she's had a long road with me with my ups and downs of trying so many different things throughout my life. But I think overall, both of my parents really wanted me to be different. But I do think a lot of parents out there want to not only program their kids, but stick them in environments where they can be programmed as well. The thing is, a lot of parents are, you may not be, or the parents out there are programming their children not to be what that child wants to be. And also the schooling, kind of forcing the school down their throat to also help them program them to do things that they may not want to do as well. So I just thought I would do a podcast on this. Some of these rants are crazy, even after I think about them. But the bottom line is, I should say is, if you're out there, I don't care if you're in, even junior high or high school, college, or I don't care if you're 40, 50 years old. I don't care if you're going to a trade school, chef school, or whatever. Make sure you're doing what you love and you want to do, and understand you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. But don't let others program you to be something you don't want to be. I just believe that. And a lot of guys I get to will be like, oh, I never wanted to be, a lawyer, but I ended up, my parents wanted me to be when I went on. I make a lot of money now, which is wonderful. If it worked out for you, it worked out for you. But I run into so many people that make a lot of money that, or do a lot of things, not because they love it, they feel forced to do it. And then as time goes on, they become very depressed, because I think money is not always the answer. Every day kind of waking up and looking forward to doing what you want to do. And, there was that it was funny though, I will wrap it up with this. The comedian once said, he was telling his parents, I want to be a comedian. And I want to go out and be an actor, and I want to be all these things. And the parents said, are you crazy? You do things now in your life. You work throughout your whole life at something you don't want to do so you can make a lot of money, and then take that money to go do what you want to do, which is a funny perspective. But maybe, if you want to just enjoy your life, your career or whatever, why can't you just go do what you love and hopefully make money at it? And if you don't, you don't. But at least maybe you gave it a shot, because I'd rather be doing what I want to do, and make a nice living, than doing something I don't want to do and making a lot of money. I would hate to wake up every day and hate doing what I'm doing in my mindset. So anyways, you got any questions or comments, you could hit me up. My website's richchalenza.com. I'm also at masteringselfconfidence.com. And believe in yourself. I'm telling you, don't sell yourself short. I don't give a shit. I don't care who broke you down throughout your life. It could be your siblings, your parents, or it could be teachers. It could be whoever the hell they are out there, colleagues telling you you're not valued or you're not worthy. I can assure you, you can do amazing things. You just got to learn to kind of develop the skills to do those things, because almost, can't say a lot of teachers I ran into, but most of them truly never would have thought I would have went on to do what I've done. I can assure you. And I know tons of men, I went to an all-guys school, that had all this potential, and very few of them actually amounted to anything to a certain degree. Not to degrade them, but I think a lot of people think because you're a good student, you're going to kick ass for the rest of your life. That's not necessarily true. I'm just telling you. So, all right, take care.